everybody, I'm Beebs Kelley. Welcome back to another video. Today we need to indulge in some royal family gossip, some Sussex drama, because there has been so much happening. And it's been a little while since we did a royal family update here on this channel. Obviously, everyone has been extremely saddened and concerned by King Charles's recent health news, and we are all wishing him the absolute best, and our thoughts are with him and the royal family. Unfortunately, in the most sensitive of moments, the Sussexes once again made many moves that few would be able to call genuine, and many say are using this news and this sort of lull, so to speak, in the royal family as an opportunity for themselves and their own advantage, that they are taking advantage of a really unfortunate situation. Nobody can fault Harry for wanting to rush to his father's side with this news. One source said that Harry wanted to see for himself if his father was downplaying the condition over the phone and was reassured in feeling that the king was in good hands once he saw him in person. However, the unplanned trip caused a change to Charles's schedule, and many reports stated that while King Charles should have been off to relax in Norfolk, he instead had to have, at best, an awkward, or at worst, tense and stressful meeting with Harry. From a PR perspective, there is absolutely no situation in which Prince Harry could have not come to see his father. Because within 2 days of this news being announced, Prince Harry was to be in Las Vegas presenting an award, which we will get to momentarily. So people were about to see Harry hop on a private jet to fly somewhere for some willy-nilly silly little appearance. So there would not have been no situation in which it would have been acceptable or okay for Harry to not have gone to visit his father at that point. It would have made him look absolutely horrible and insensitive and selfish, which we kind of already know that about Prince Harry. So WME was probably, in part, I mean, I'm not saying it was just WME forcing him to go, but WME probably strongly recommended Harry go to visit his father. Because had he not gone to visit King Charles in the UK, he would have been absolutely ravaged by the press for having absolutely no respect or care in the situation. So this angle that Harry was sort of between a rock and a hard place, and the fact that Charles had to alter his schedule in order to see Harry at a time in which his comfort should have been the priority, leads many to think that Harry had ulterior motives, that he really was just doing this for the sake of the press not coming for him or making him look bad. Furthermore, it's no secret that Harry and Meghan's endeavors have not panned out to their expectations. And as we discussed in the Meg's disaster video, I will link it for here or at the end of today's video, Harry and Meghan have always been angling to get asked to come back. They didn't want to volunteer. They didn't want to lay down their arms and be like, we would like to return and help out or anything like that. No, they wanted to be asked to come back into the fold so that it could be more on their terms and they would have a little bit more leverage to be like, well, this is what we will and will not do, and this is what we demand and require. Which makes it all the more gross that a few days later, while in Canada, which we will get to in more detail momentarily, but a few days later, he put out press saying that all his family needed to do was ask, and he would be willing to step into a temporary role to help out the royal family with official duties. Gross. Ugh. How rude and absurd. The Sussexes have just been waiting for an opportunity to be asked. And jumping on this as their chance is so insensitive and laughable at the same time. Oblivious to the fact that in no scenario would anyone want them back in any way, shape, or form. They are simultaneously somehow not oblivious to the fact that the royal family are what provide them the fairy dust that they need. The royal family provide a huge amount of shine to the people they are associated with, to the members of it, the working members of the royal family. And if Harry and Meghan now, after all of their assaults, were to align with the royal family again, play nice and pretend to be supportive and play the role of the good guys, it would help Harry and Meghan tremendously. The Sussexes would be the ones to benefit from that, or anything along those lines. Like, huge benefit to the Sussexes. Absolutely zero benefit to the royal family and anyone else. So since Prince Harry really had no choice but to go and visit his father, it really didn't come off great. The fact that Harry was so quick to be sure to inform the press of his trip also placed a lens over the situation that it was very much a PR situation, that it was massively important to him to have that positive PR of going to visit King Charles. Also, I think it was like less than 24 hours after Prince Harry landed in LA before he was back on a private jet to go to Las Vegas. Why did the eco warrior not just fly from the UK to Las Vegas? Would have made way more sense. Headlines also included that Prince Harry was shocked by his cold reception, that Prince William did not want to see him, which is, again, laughable. Who is shocked by that for real? I cannot imagine Harry is that dim that he would be shocked that his brother, whom he has repeatedly attacked, and whom he's attacked his brother's wife and all of these things, like, how would that be a surprise that they don't want to hang out? It makes no sense. Toddlers are the only people in society who may throw a tantrum and then be immediately accepted back into the fold because they have not yet learned how to control themselves. They are the only ones who don't have those lasting consequences from tantrums. Did Prince Harry and Meghan miss that memo? That as adults, if you tantrum and treat people abhorrently, they don't want to hang out with you anymore at all. Also, it was said that Prince Harry demanded that Queen Camilla not be present while he met with his father, which some people came to the defense of that, saying, well, he wanted to have a heart-to-heart with his father over something really serious and grave news, so to speak. And since, you know, Queen Camilla isn't his biological mother, it's his stepmother, some people sympathize with that, like, yeah, I mean, it kind of makes sense. He wanted a private moment. But on the other hand, how incredibly rude. If it is true, I mean, it is just a rumor, but if it is true, it's extremely unacceptable in this specific situation because of Prince Harry's previous actions, especially if this visit was to check on the king. If his visit was to make sure his father is okay and to be there and be supportive, then who is he to say who can and cannot be in King Charles's company when he's there to visit? That is just so absurd and entitled. Charles's greatest supporter and love is Camilla. So to demand that his biggest supporter and the person he's leaning on and the person who is there with him through this be booted from the room is just so petulant and inconsiderate to both the king and the queen. And again, it's ignoring the fact that Prince Harry has no grounds to make such demands after he was the one attacking everybody. Mere hours after returning to LA from the UK, he took a round trip via private jet to fly to Las Vegas. You cannot make this up. This man who scolds people for not doing enough to help the environment is bouncing around on private jets in a really impractical manner. Don't even make the most basic of efforts to simply reduce one of his flights to just fly straight from the UK to Las Vegas makes way more sense. Why ping-ponging around the country and over the Atlantic? Like, I just don't understand what he was thinking with that. It signals either really, really low amounts of logic being used, or perhaps like absurd grandiosity. It really exposes the spoilt nature of Prince Harry. This was just another instance of an organization really not understanding their audience, having Prince Harry there to present an NFL award to a room full of American football players. Bud Light did this, they didn't understand their audience, and we all know how that turned out. This is not quite as extreme, obviously, but just take a listen to what Prince Harry said when he took the stage. At the NFL Honors in Las Vegas to give out the Walter Payton NFL Man of the Year award to Pittsburgh Steelers defensive tackle Cameron Hayward, Prince Harry said, "Good evening, NFL. It's an honor to be with you all tonight. I really love how you stole rugby from us and made it your own. Instead of passing it backwards, just pass it forwards. Why not wear pads and a helmet? Of course, have an offense and defense, that makes sense. And why not take a breather every 15 seconds? And you know what? Instead of a 10-month season, let's just make it 18 weeks. Genius." So he begins telling this room of American football players who have dedicated their lives to this sport and to achieving excellence in this particular sport. He begins by saying it's a ripoff and that their sport is a ripoff. Invictus games and Warrior games comes to mind, ironically. But regardless, my opinions on American football and rugby or any of that aside, I just think about like for these athletes, this was incredibly rude. He doesn't come across as funny when he says these things because he clearly lacks a sense of humor and is so very thin-skinned that it just doesn't work when he tries to joke around like this. He did this to John Travolta too. This sort of disparaging of other people does not come across well if you have proven yourself to be a dick in real life towards people who matter to you. It just comes across as rude and gross and snotty, like you're above them. And so I just do not understand what he was thinking when he said those things. And I also don't understand why the NFL awards chose Prince Harry to present. Perhaps his speaking fee was much cheaper than real A-listers. As for the recipients' enthusiasm, remember, these are people who do not follow the royal family at all. They are completely oblivious to all of this drama and the way Prince Harry has behaved. So regardless, Prince Harry being there for this made zero sense, and his speech further proved it. By the way, back to John Travolta, the Legends of Aviation Award really had the world bewildered that why on earth would Harry receive that award? When surely there's way more deserving candidates in the field, men and women who have pioneered, shown bravery and excellence in flight, they deserve a Legends Award, not Harry, who is decidedly unworthy. Everyone agreed on that. And the event planners agreed when creating the seating chart and placing Harry at the back. So perhaps WME and Prince Harry will learn to stop purchasing fake awards and stop throwing Prince Harry into elements where he does not belong. My theory is that when they were starting to write their bios for the upcoming Sussex.com website, which we're about to get to next, Meghan Markle had all of these fake awards and accolades to put on there that she had bought and paid for over the last few years to fill her bio up, and Prince Harry did not have so much. So they thought, well, let's get him some of these awards. So they decided Legends of Aviation would be a good fit for Prince Harry for whatever reason and got to work on John Travolta for it. There was also rumors that Meghan Markle was scheduled to attend this event alongside Prince Harry. They had this harebrained idea to have Meghan dance with John Travolta the way Princess Diana did. Obviously, that would be the most cringy thing in the whole wide world, so I am really glad that John Travolta turned them down. And that would explain why Meghan Markle did not want to show her face at that award ceremony. But next came the unveiling of the Sussex.com website and the name update for their children. With Netflix allegedly still on shaky ground, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle were trying to get out ahead of that, and just in case Netflix were to fall through, they were trying to show a degree of being in demand with their One Love Paramount photo op, which appeared to be nothing more than just a photo op, but also with this website debut. They're trying to usher in this like new chapter of their public image with this website. There have been some PR rumblings that the titles and Archewell in and of itself, the name and all of the, titles that they have alongside it, and even down to Mountbatten Windsor, was not as marketable as a single last name the way Americans are accustomed to. I'm not in agreement with this, especially now there's so many people with hyphenated last names, long complicated last names. Americans are not as oblivious to the goings on when it comes to the royal family as some people like to think. Like Meghan and Harry like to think that Americans know nothing about the royal family or do not care at all. But many Americans, like a huge percentage of Americans, would call themselves fans of the royal family. So I don't necessarily agree with that approach, but I do understand the idea that a unifying, just simple, streamlined, brandable, marketable, single last name, like just Sussex for all four of these individuals, is a better approach when it comes to marketing and branding than the various titles and varying last name usage. The PR firm is desperately trying to make the Sussexes more marketable and palatable to the public. They want them to be more consumer friendly. After last year, for example, Dior aggressively distancing themselves from Meghan Markle and Prince Harry, Spotify ending, the grifters comment, and other projects that just aren't picking up speed the way they anticipated, is indicative that they just are not a marketable, profitable group right now. The Sussexes themselves, Prince Harry and Meghan, are just not really an in-demand, magnetic to consumers sort of brand or image at this time. So the logical next step would be for WME to make a more commercial image for them. And a unifying name, a website full of fluffy bios, is one tactic to enhance the personal brand of them as a family or as a group. But the website has been poorly received for lots and lots of reasons. I really don't think the bios were a good idea at all. The bios definitely sound like Meghan Markle wrote them. They sound very, very self-important. They're full of empty accolades and exaggerated statements and accomplishments. It's also too close for comfort to Sussex Royal, which they were banned from using by Queen Elizabeth. So a lot of people view that and that alone as really disrespectful. This is not how you win people over. It's just not. If you truly are a champion of mental health and women's rights and environmentalism, you don't need to plaster it in an expensive website about yourself. You would instead dedicate the monies spent on that webpage to actual charities and let your actions speak for themselves. That's what the most respected activists do out there. They do not have web pages or landing sites telling everybody about all of the stuff that they do, everything that they have done, and all of the recognition that they have gotten. They do not do that. They're not making websites or buying awards. They don't spend time on those things. They don't write over-the-top, tone-deaf bios about themselves. But Meghan Markle and Prince Harry, this is the key issue here. They cannot just sit back and let their actions speak for them. They can't do that because their actions are so very much in opposition to their words. And they don't even have enough actions to back up their words in the first place. They don't do enough real stuff to let their actions speak louder than their words. And they say things that are in complete contrast to the things that they do. So they are not in a position to let people just see the good work that they do because they're not doing that good work. They say one thing and do the opposite. So they are in this precarious position of trying to convince people of their do-goodingness, of which there is very little in the way of actual good acts. But regardless, they are trying a rebrand here. They've dropped Archewell as their main landing page and PR front and replaced it with Sussex.com. Some see it as a move to realign with royal supporters and streamline, simplify their branding, streamline it, and for anybody who is at least a loose follower of the royal family will identify or recognize the Sussex name, unlike Archewell. So this suggestion would almost certainly come from WME because, as we all know, Archewell was all the Meg. It was her idea. She thought it was ingenious. She was super duper proud of it. So WME must have had to explain, perhaps repeatedly, just how poorly that was working out. They needed something more focused and clearly aligned with them and something more identifiable. As for changing their children to be known as Archie Sussex and Lily Sussex, I think that's a really bad move. I think it's a really, really bad move. Not only is it not correct, and many in Britain are understandably appalled by this because it's just not the way these things work, but it further shows the self-serving attitude of Harry and Meghan. Changing your kids' last names anytime out of toddlerhood is a big deal. And when it comes to names, the Sussex name is now forever tarnished. The way Duke and Duchess of Windsor was super tarnished, so is Duke and Duchess of Sussex. Very, very tarnished. It will forever be viewed as sort of like this negative energy for all of these crappy things that Harry and Meghan have done. So this forever infamous, tattered name being tacked onto these kids as their new last name is not something they're likely to appreciate as they age. Especially because that also means that they're now removed from Queen Elizabeth II's Mountbatten-Windsor surname, which has this beautiful heritage and symbolism and is immediately identifiable with something great. So the point is, Harry and Meghan didn't have a good reason to change the kids' names that actually benefited the children in any way, shape, or form. Rather, the name change only benefits Harry and Meghan right now, because it benefits their marketing right now, in this moment. makes it an insensitive and blatant grasp for branding, regardless of their children's best interests for their children's future, in which Mountbatten Windsor would be a much better last name for those kids than Sussex. Following the backlash to the website, Meghan Markle came out to defend it, which this was kind of hilarious because it didn't really make much sense. It seems that she really misunderstood the criticism of the website, probably on purpose. She intentionally misinterpreted the criticism to be something to do with the design rather than the content itself. People are not annoyed with the color choice or the layout or the site format at all. Nobody cares about that. People are annoyed that it's called Sussex.com. People are annoyed at the self-righteous, inflated bios. People are annoyed at the Sussex attempt at a very unwelcome rebrand. But the Meg cannot fathom that that could possibly be the choice. No. Instead, she defends the website designers, to which everyone said, so what? She's explaining that they bring your vision to life and they're such a great company to work with and blah, 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 blah. Plus, they're Canadian, so I'm a fan. Like, what are you even talking about? What is that statement? It is so bizarre and weird. It really doesn't matter if they were Canadian or otherwise. Why put that in the statement? It's so silly. But what I found particularly telling was that she didn't publicize the name of the company in a prominent fashion. All of the articles I read did not one of them, listed the actual company that designed the website for them. So she wasn't offering support to this company by saying this specific company was so great to work with and we're so pleased with this specific company, like giving them some free advertising. She didn't do that. So she didn't even do this to like actually defend them. It's so see-through, it's foolish. She just tried to shift the story and manipulate the story into people are hating on the hard work that this company did. Stuart Heritage, I thought, had a perfect take on this, so I'm going to quote his article here. Making a pseudo-royal site about yourself when you've literally changed continents to distance yourselves from the royal family is an undeniably strange flex. Facts. Since so many big names have departed Archewell in the recent year or so, one could wager that this was not just a rebranding, but also a distraction from Archewell's apparent demise and lack of success and hugely poor performance. The couple's rationale became a little clearer. Their two children had apparently been known as Archie Sussex and Lily Sussex since the coronation. It seems that Harry and Meghan weren't just rebranding their business, they were rebranding their children too. According to the Times of London, the new website is just a family hub for the work the Sussexes do, and to unify the family, and not a ruse to draw attention away from all the Archewell deserters. So far, the sum output of Archewell Audio and Archewell Productions consists of 12 widely mocked podcast episodes, a holiday special podcast, 2 docuseries about Harry and Meghan, and a third wanly received docuseries about the Invictus games, which Harry founded, and which has been rumored to be having its own financial troubles. He's almost right. Prince Harry didn't found Invictus. He and William together founded Invictus. So, one correction there. But yes, they are also having financial troubles. So it's just not working out, and it would seem that there is merit to the idea that this is just trying to shift away from everything that has not been working. And this pattern will just continue and get lower and lower in profits as it goes, in this revolving door of people who don't want to stay working for them, companies that don't want to keep deals with them, and projects that just don't work out. They don't drive the profit, they don't drive the views, and they're not received well. But immediately following the website launch, the couple showed up in Canada for the 1 year to go Invictus training camp events, and we're going to get into her outfits in a special fashion edition coming up next, so be sure to subscribe so you don't miss that. But this once again came across as extremely tone deaf because Harry used it as a venue to launch his detached from reality campaign to fill in with the royal family in a temporary role while King Charles is undergoing treatments. It's so cringe, you can't make it up. How inappropriate. It truly is laughable and absurd that Prince Harry thought this up, and Prince Harry really benefited from this PR, regardless of how insensitive it was to King Charles or the royal family. And regardless of whether or not his suggestions were rooted in any realm of reality whatsoever, he got headlines for a day or two putting a positive spin on this whole thing. That things are softening, Meg is reaching out and wants to heal Bond, and they're ready to put the feud behind them. These sorts of headlines covered the entire Invictus 1 year to go Canada trip. It's gross. That ship had sailed a long, long time ago. People who turn on family members like this, or just people in general like this, are literally never to be trusted. You cannot trust these types of people again, ever, ever, ever. As many have already pointed out, there wouldn't be anything for Prince Harry to do or help with anyway. The royal family has their diaries sorted out about 6 months in advance or further, and they've already come up with a plan and conducted backup plans for this period of time anyway. So there wouldn't really be anything for Harry to help with regardless, but nobody wants Harry to come and help anyway. Nobody wants to be around Harry and Meghan. Nobody wants to see Harry and Meghan. It would be PR suicide for the royal family, even if they weren't mad at Harry and Meghan. Setting aside the personal drama, it would still be the worst thing you could do from a PR perspective to bring these two back into the fold. It would just be mind-blowingly horrible. So it came across incredibly poorly, and it furthermore shows a great deal of selfishness on Prince Harry and Meghan's part. They only got headlines by lacing in comments about the king's health, of which everyone is concerned, as well as this fake possible return to duties in a temporary role story. Once again, Prince Harry and Meghan used the royal family without any care for the people who they are affecting. Zero. Early on in the Canada trip, there were headlines saying that it was a make or break time for the Sussexes, saying that they had to prove that they could behave, which is legit. But Meghan put out a response to this because she is into those petty press games that says, "We've heard time and time again that certain opportunities are make or break for the couple, but they're still here. They're still working and pursuing what they believe in despite constantly being challenged and criticized. The couple will not be broken." Oh, the drama. A victim statement rejecting the actual valid criticism that people level at this couple is silly. These are people who have lied repeatedly for their own gain, sometimes about trivial matters, sometimes about bigger things that put other people in sticky situations. And this is a couple who over the last several years have bullied elderly Prince Philip, Queen Elizabeth, King Charles, Queen Camilla, and of course, Prince William, Catherine Princess of Wales, their children. The press, specific journalists and reporters were clearly singled out in Prince Harry's book Spare to be targeted, and many, many more people. All of the people who work for the palace and the institution, Angela, Kelley, just like they have been on the attack for everybody on this huge rampage, going after all these people in a really bullying fashion, in part because one element that makes a bully is that they're picking on people who either can't or won't fight back. That is exactly what's happening. And that's exactly what Prince Harry and Meghan have done for years. They're hypocrites. They're bullies. They're just no bueno. So it's clear that that criticism is valid, and Harry and Meghan should perhaps try listening to that criticism instead of rejecting it. These people who say, you should show up, do good, you should listen and learn. Don't listen to anything people have to say to them. And that's especially important in the business that they want to be a part of. They desperately want to be a part of this Hollywood content creation sort of a business, but yet they refuse to accept feedback and make changes based on said feedback. That is literally one of the biggest key factors to the entertainment industry, because it is a consumer-driven industry. People aren't going to want to buy your stuff, watch your stuff, listen to your podcast, read your books, anything like that, if you are consistently hypocritical and consistently pontificating and being self-righteous and telling people how amazing you are, meanwhile you're acting like a complete dick. People don't like that, and Hollywood and these sorts of industries rely on people liking you and wanting to see your movies and giving you a pass if you make a bad movie because they like you so much. Like, Hollywood and the entertainment industry relies on charisma and people liking you People don't like Harry and Meghan. They don't have much charisma, and they have created a very negative brand for themselves. So if they never listen to this criticism and just put out statements like this, that they're victims of unfair criticism, they'll never get to that point. Not that we want them to anyway. The camera crews that they brought with them are further evidence that everything is ultimately a self-serving venture for Harold and the Meg. If this was really about doing good and supporting Invictus games and things like that, they would not have made statements about the royal family or King Charles's health or anything like that whatsoever. And they would have kept all the attention on the Invictus games, and they would have given that footage to the press. The press would have just been there getting footage of it the way the royal family does. Having your private film crew follow you around means the other press, the public press, is restricted in the amount of content that they can take. So the news articles and things of that nature didn't have as much content as it otherwise would have, because Harry and Meghan set blockers and boundaries on that and said, no, you're not allowed to film this or take pictures of this or that because we're getting exclusive rights of that for our own production. So it's not about the Invictus Games. It's not about these athletes and veterans. It's about Harry and Meghan, a cash grab, and a PR push to support their rebrand. That's probably not going to work out too great. That's it for today's video. Please leave all of your comments below. I cannot wait to read them. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I hope you have a happy day. Bye!